So when we were sitting there, it was at night, and this story came up that, and I mentioned this. I was like, one of the hands down the most powerful and beautiful story that I've ever come across in my entire life is. It sounds insane. It's a Muslim son burned his burned his own Muslim mother alive. Burned his mother alive, and it's hands down the most. Uh, it's a very interesting story, but the ending is even more. It's perplexing, but it shows you the love of Allah. It shows you the mercy of a mother. It shows you the rahmah of both mother and Allah subhanahu wa taala. So the story goes like this. There's a book called Birrul Walidain, written by Ibn al-Qayyim al-Jawziyah. He's a very famous scholar. He narrates a story on the behalf of Malik bin Dinar. Malik bin Dinar was a great scholar that lived in Mecca. So Malik bin Dinar, he says that one day I was in Mecca and I was standing right in front of Kaaba, and all of a sudden a huge caravan of people entered Kaaba, and they all came from Khurasan, like Afghanistan, Uzbekistan, like that area, Iran. Like they came from that area. So they walk in and I see this huge, and mashallah, they're doing tawaf of the Kaaba, and I was overwhelmed with joy. He's like, I wanted to go and hug every single one of them, show them love, and tell them that, look, Allah will accept your footsteps, Allah will accept your journey. But he said, because there were so many, obviously I couldn't do that. He said, that night I went to sleep. Malik bin Dinar, he says, that night I went to sleep and someone came to my dream and said, Allah has forgiven everyone that was there except for one person. So he said, I woke up. I said, what? Allah is forgiving everyone except for one person? That one person is probably me. I'm probably the person that Allah is not going to forgive. So Malik bin Dinar is like, I went to Kaaba, I started crying, I made sajda, salawat. I was begging Allah to forgive me and just to forgive all of us. So he said, the second night I go to sleep again. And the same person that came to me my first night comes to me the second night. And he's like, oh Malik, Allah has forgiven everyone except for one person. But you're not that one person. Allah has forgiven you too. The person that Allah has not forgiven is Muhammad bin Harun al-Balkhi al-Khurasani. That's the person Allah doesn't forgive. So he woke up and he's like, what? So he starts investigating. He goes to the tribe that came from Khurasan and he asks them that, is there a group of Muslims amongst you that's from a community called Balkh? And they said, yes. They said, who are you asking about? Malik bin Dinar, he says, I'm asking for a person by the name Muhammad bin Harun. And they said, this tribe, they were like, Muhammad bin Harun, he's the best person amongst us. He's the most knowledgeable person amongst us. He understands the Quran better than all of us.
Wow.
So Malik bin Dinar became even more confused and perplexed. He's like, what? None of this adds up. I see a dream that Allah forgives everyone except for Muhammad bin Harun, but his own people, his own tribe is saying that he's the best person, most righteous person, most knowledgeable person, but Allah is not forgiving him. So he's like, I'm confused. So I asked them that, look, where is he? Show me where he is. So they said, he's in this area. Go there and you'll find him. So Malik bin Dinar, he says, I go to that area and I find Muhammad bin Harun. And he said, not only did I find him in sajda, praying to Allah. So he said, I became even more confused that his nation is praising him. I see him praying. He's a scholar, he's a knowledgeable person, he's a leader. But still in my dream, I see that Allah is not forgiving him. What's going on? Malik bin Dinar, he's like, look, I started to question myself that it's not possible. I probably saw a bad dream, it's not true. So Malik bin Dinar is like, I started to walk out of the room. When I started to walk out, Muhammad bin Harun turns around and he stops me and he says, why are you here? And Malik bin Dinar is like, oh no, sorry, I made a mistake, I'm leaving. Muhammad bin Harun is like, no, why are you here? Malik bin Dinar is like, are you Muhammad bin Harun? He's like, yeah. And then Malik bin Dinar is like, okay, nothing, forget it. Because he's like, look, he's praying salah, he's in Makkah, on Hajj, like mashallah, he's an amazing person. There's no way Allah cannot forgive him. So Muhammad bin Harun is like, no. Tell me what it is. Did you see a dream? Malik bin Dinar is like, how'd you know? Muhammad bin Harun is like, tell me the dream. Malik bin Dinar is like, look, you guys all came to Makkah as to perform Hajj, and I saw a dream that Allah forgave everyone except for you. Why? Muhammad bin Harun, he started to cry. He said, for 40 years, I come every single year for Hajj, and every year I come for Hajj, a pious person like yourself sees a dream about me that Allah forgives everyone except for me. So Malik bin Dinar is like, what'd you do? There has to have been something that you've done that Allah's not forgiving you. And Malik Muhammad bin Harun says yes. He says, years ago, Allah blessed me with a lot of wealth. I was extremely wealthy. I was rich, but I became an alcoholic. I was severely addicted to alcohol. So one day I come home and I was completely drunk. Kuntu atamayal. He says like I was literally intoxicated to such an extent I was like I couldn't even walk. So when I walked into my house, my mother grabbed me. She sat me down, and she said, "Oh Muhammad, ya Muhammad, eat this." So she started to feed me bread that she was making. So she started to feed me, and my mother told me while feeding me that it was the last day of Sha'ban. Tomorrow was the first day of Ramadan, and I was drunk. So my mother told me that, "Oh Muhammad, tomorrow people will wake up, fasting. It's the first day of Ramadan tomorrow. People will wake up fasting and rejuvenated, to worship Allah. But you're gonna wake up an alcoholic. You're gonna wake up drunk." So when my mother said that to me, I slapped her. When I slapped her, she told me, "Ta'ista, may you be destroyed." So when my mother said that to me, that completely upset me. So I picked her up, and the same oven that she was using to make bread to feed me with, I put her in the oven and I closed the oven, and I burned her alive. So my wife came, she grabbed me, threw me in the room, locked the room door, and the next morning I woke up banging on the door that why am I locked in this room? My sister, my wife, she opens the door yelling at me, and I told her that why are you yelling and cursing at me? She's like, "Last night you came home intoxicated and you burned your mother alive." So he says, I go into the oven and I look, and her whole body's in dust. And he said, once that happened, I gave all my money in sadaqah. All the properties I owned, I gave it to the poor. All the animals, everything I owned, I gave it to the poor. I gave it to Allah. And I gave up my entire life. All I do is worship Allah, begging Allah to forgive me. So Malik bin Dinar, when he hears this story from Muhammad bin Harun, Malik bin Dinar gets upset. He's like, "Why are you coming for Hajj? Why are you walking amongst us? Because people like you will get us destroyed. Because I fear that what you did to your mother, Allah will not only punish you, but also punish us. So get out of here. Go away from here." And Muhammad bin Harun, he just started to cry. Malik bin Dinar, he leaves the house, the room, and he closes the door. So he says that when I closed the door, I was just waiting by the door to see what he was going to say. So Muhammad bin Harun, he was crying, and he started to make a dua. Ya Farij al-Gham, Ya Kashif al-Ham. And he said, "Ya Allah, oh the one who relieves all difficulties, oh the one who is able to relieve all of my problems, I ask you to forgive me." He says this dua while crying, that "Ya Allah, I ask you to forgive me." Malik bin Dinar, he goes home and goes to sleep that night. That night he goes to sleep. He sees in a dream the same person that came to him the first and the second night. The same person comes to him. "Ya Malik, lima tuqannit an-nasa an rahmatillah." Malik bin Dinar, he says the first thing that person said to me was, "Why are you making people hopeless from the mercy of Allah? Allah is the most merciful. He can forgive whoever He wants." And then Malik bin Dinar, he says that person said to me right after, that on the day of judgment, Allah will gather the entire mankind. From the first person of Adam to the last person that will ever walk on the face of this earth, Allah will gather everyone. And He will make everyone bear witness to this incident, that this person burned his mother alive. So Allah will tell the angels to bring Muhammad bin Harun and bring the mother of Muhammad bin Harun. And Allah will make a judgment that take Muhammad bin Harun by the face and throw him into the fire of hell. So the angels, they will grab Muhammad bin Harun and they'll begin to drag him into the fire of hell. Muhammad bin Harun, right before the angels throw him into the pits of hell, Muhammad bin Harun will turn around and he will say one thing, "Ya Ummah," that "Oh my beloved mother." That's the only thing he will say. When he says this, his mother will turn to Allah and she will only say one thing, the "Ya Rabbi," the "Ya Rabbi," the "Oh my beloved Lord, oh my Allah." Allah will tell the mother, "Wahabtuhu laki," that because of your one dua, your one asking that "Ya Allah, forgive my child," because of that, I'm forgiving Muhammad bin Harun, and both of you can enter Jannah together.
Oh my, well, I'm about to tear listening to this. Wallah, subhanallah. Oh my God.